Welcome back to Niners Nation, everybody. Week 11 is getting close to wrapped up, but of course the most important game of the week still remains as the 49ers are going to host the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. This really is the biggest game of the week overall, just in the sense that you've got the 7-2 Bears, you've got the 6-2-1 49ers. The winner of the game sort of takes a bit of a hold on the number 2 playoff spot. The loser of the game finds themselves moving a little bit closer and getting a little bit more uncomfortable in their own division. For the 49ers, Week 11 saw the second-place Seahawks on a bye. They're sitting at 6-4. If the 49ers win their game, they will take a game-and-a-half lead on the Seahawks. But if the 49ers lose, they suddenly find themselves up only half a game. In the rest of the division, the Cardinals just barely lost an upset bid against the Falcons. They dropped to 4-6. And then the St. Louis Rams lost as well. They dropped to 3-6-1. Unfortunately, unfortunately for Rams fans, that pretty much removes them from playoff contention. I mean, technically they can come back, but the odds are pretty slim. But for the 49ers, it just comes down to winning on Monday night. If they can beat the Bears, they'll gain the half-game edge on the Bears. They'll gain some ground with the Giants, the Packers, all these other teams. They really need to get that win. While the 49ers and Bears are playing probably the biggest game of the week, Week 11 saw a lot of action that sort of firmed up some playoff positioning. We had some potential for upsets, particularly with the Falcons almost blowing it against the Cardinals, but they ended up winning to improve to 9-1 and sort of really take a little bit more firm control of that number 1 seed and home field throughout the playoffs. The big game that allowed for some separation saw the Packers win late against the Detroit Lions. The Packers improved to 7-3 while the Lions dropped to 4-6. The big thing for the Packers now is that if the Bears lose, they'll be tied, and with still heading into Week 12, that's kind of a big deal. And it's actually, speaking of Week 12, it's going to be big for potential playoff matchups after weeks and weeks of teams under 500 meeting teams over 500. Week 12 will feature the 49ers versus the Saints, the Vikings versus the Bears, the Falcons versus the Buccaneers, and the Packers versus the Giants. The Saints and the Buccaneers are both climbing right back into things. The Saints just destroyed the Oakland Raiders. Not exactly a shocker, but they improved to 5-5 and have quietly bounced back from a horrendous start. The Buccaneers, on the other hand, they're a sneaky good team. They've quietly been under the radar, slowly improving, but they won again. They pulled out just a stunning win over the Carolina Panthers. It looked like the Panthers were going to pull it out. They were up 21-13 with just a few seconds left on the clock. Josh Freeman fired into Vincent Jackson, and then they converted the 2-point conversion, and then scored again in overtime to win it. And really, the Buccaneers are quietly right back in this thing. They are tied with the Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks at 6-4 for that last playoff spot. I believe right now, technically, the tie goes to the Seahawks, but obviously there's a lot of football left. And with the Bucs playing the Falcons and the Vikings playing the Bears, you've also got the Seahawks facing off against the Dolphins. There's probably going to be some separation next week. Those are some tough matchups across the board. So the playoff picture, it could get more clear, but again, things have a way of getting messed up just as you think it's all getting figured out. So still a lot of football left. We'll be back next week with more on the playoff picture. Make sure and check back at the SB Nation YouTube channel at youtube.com/SBNation, and also we will of course have post-game information after the 49ers-Bears Monday Night Football game. Check that out at youtube.com/SBN Niners Nation. Hopefully we'll have a win for you.